Jason Jennings, former Baylor pitcher, and also spent time in Major League Baseball for a decade with Colorado, with the Astros, and also with the Rangers. NL Rookie of the Year in 2002. We've had Jason on before, back when Mitch Thompson was hired. Jason's thoughts about him, and as Baylor will start to rebuild the baseball program, and Mitch Thompson will. But Jason Jennings joins us on one of these great days in sports. Jason, thanks for your time with Paul, and I'm David Smoke. What was opening day for a guy that lived it for a decade? What is that like?
Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's always great to talk to you guys and my Waco family, my Baylor family. But as far as opening day, I mean, it's a fresh start. No matter how bad of a year personally or as a team you had the previous year, there's always that fresh hope that, you know, new optimism, fans are optimistic, new unis, new everything. It's just a chance to reset and regroup and give it another shot.
Jason, what do you think about this new look pitch clocks and no timeout or less calling time and stepping out of the box and mound visits heavily regulated? How would you have navigated all this?
At first I'm an old school traditional type guy and not too open to change a lot of times, but I think initially I was like, what are we doing? We're turning this into a clown show with clocks and bigger bases and whatnot. But as I kind of watched some of the spring training games and, it keeps a better pace. Not as much of the look at me stuff, stepping out of the box, fixing your bat and glove 17 times and making sure everybody sees, that you're hitting. So I'm a big fan. Like, get in the box and let's go. Fans, if they're committed and they want to go to a game, they're going to pay the money. They're going to stay for 2 hours and 45 minutes or 3 hours, whatever the time may be. But some of these games were getting a little ridiculous with all the, just the in-between pitch time and pitchers walking around the mound, hitters stepping out of the box, the 3-0 count and they're stepping out of the box and adjusting their bat and gloves. It's just a little bit of silliness that was going on. So, I think it's going to clean up the game a little bit and give the fans, more action more often. And, that's what they pay to see. Isn't
it, at least so far, the evidence in during the I guess you call exhibition season, is that it was almost a half an hour shorter? Would that, for a pitcher, not make it more crisp and keep you more even focused and engaged in the game?
Absolutely. And, that's something I always thought about, and the kids I work with. I mean, as a pitcher, the faster pace, the more strikes you throw, the more action, you can keep going, the better defense you get behind you. Because those defenders, they don't want to stand out there either. And, 2 minutes in between, each ball in play or, 30 seconds in between each pitch, they get bored and their minds start to wander. So the more efficient pace, the more strikes you throw, the less time in between pitches, the more engaged your defense is going to stay. I think the better defense you're going to see.
What did you think about eliminating the shift?
I didn't mind it. Those were getting a little silly as well. You got shortstops playing in right center and second baseman's playing right field and right fielders in the third row in right field. It was getting a little – granted, these are the best hitters on earth, so, yeah, they should be able to let the ball travel a little deeper and, shoot it the other way to defeat that shift. But that takes away from, what some of these guys are really, really good at and what the fans pay to see. And, I don't when I was playing, yeah, we'd shade the shortstop almost up the middle, shade the second baseman way deep in the 4-hole. And, that's still kind of playing a little bit of that mind game, playing some, using your scouting reports and trying to put our guys in the best position possible. But it was getting a little crazy. So this is kind of going to take us back to more traditional baseball and put guys where they're supposed to be and, play the game the way it was meant to be played.
I know somebody would never have used a shift against Tony Gwynn or Rod Carew. I know that's old school, but, they would have hit 500, not almost 400, had they moved around because they could shoot it anywhere. What about the pickoff move? You get two, that's it. And you have somebody over there that's getting in your head a little bit, or somebody probably will run and needs to run. How would you have to kind of have that on your mind a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so. And, I think that change as well as the bases. Granted, not much of a change in the size of the base, but that's going to encourage some more stolen bases, which I think is an exciting part of the game. And the Ricky Henderson type player, those really don't exist too much anymore, and those guys are fun to watch. And there's some of the best athletes in the world, playing in MLB, and you want to see them use their legs and not go base to base, with balls in play, but make some stuff happen with, more bunts, more steals, more hit and runs. And that's always stuff I enjoyed, not necessarily it being used against me when I was on the mound, obviously, but just as a fan of the game, you like to see that stuff.
Jason, I may have asked you this the last time we had you on about Shohei Otani, but you were a pitcher who was a good hitter. But he is great at both. And how does he have the time? Like, that's what I can't wrap my head around. Based on how everybody else has to spend their time and focus on their skills in Major League Baseball, how does he have the time to work on both?
I don't really think you do. You don't have the time that, an everyday position player puts in the cages and watching the film and whatnot. There's no way he has that much time. I think he's just that talented. Because, I could do both in college, but the farther and farther I got away from college, the harder and harder hitting got because I didn't do it every day. I took BP and, we took pitcher's BP, but we're just jacking around trying to hit bombs before the game. We're not really working on our swings. And, but you hit once every 5 days when I pitched, and it's hard to do. So I think it just, it's a testament to how talented he truly is that he is elite at, on the mound and in the batter's box. And there's no way he has time to train for either one of those like a normal everyday pitcher or everyday hitter would. So it's just, I think it's more of a tip of cap to him, just that he's that special.
What are your thoughts, and did you watch much of the World Baseball Classic? Because I found myself tuned in. Puerto Rico and the Dominican, I think it was, or Mexico, and then, of course, the Japan-United States final?
No, I absolutely. Feasibly, it'd probably take some of the glitz and glamour away, but I wouldn't mind seeing it every year. I love it. I think it's, having been there myself, I played on the national team my freshman and sophomore years at Baylor in the summertime. And Smitty was a coach one of my years, and you put that USA on your chest, and there's a switch that flips, and it's a different feel. You're not necessarily, you're not playing for the Rockies or for the Baylor Bears. You're playing for your country, and it's 330 some odd million of us, and you feel like everybody's rooting for you. Especially, you play against a team that you got history with, not only on the field but off the field, and it's a big deal, and you don't realize it until you're out there doing it. And so I still have those same feelings of of pride for our country and having done it and rooting for the our guys. They gave it a good run as a talented group, but Japan's pretty special too. They got some great players.
Is this? You played in a really good era, but are we sitting in an era that if baseball does it right, they can really take some steps forward? Because there are some really fun, marketable stars in this game spread all over the league. It's not just concentrated, they're not all playing for the Yankees or the Dodgers. There is a lot of guys all over the place that are really good right now.
Yeah, I think, we have some of the MLB guys that train up at our facility and they hit here in the off season. So I talk to them off and on throughout the off season, and just from a hitters, most of these guys are hitters, and they're speaking of the pitchers these days and just the pure stuff, the talent. These guys, I'm throwing 90-mile-an-hour sliders that look like curveballs, and it's just, these guys are kind of built different than the guys were when I played. Not that, we didn't have talented guys in my era. It's a different game. Just the pure talent, pure skill of these guys is exciting to watch. So I think to your point, MLB implementing a few changes that gives the fans more of an opportunity to see these guys in action and not sit there and watch, 200 hitters try to go 1 for 5 and hit one home run and strike out 4 times. That's not good baseball to me. And that's kind of what I was seeing, these past few seasons. So I'm hoping, these changes that have been implemented will, speed up the game, not in a bad way, but just a more action-packed way, and allow these guys to be able to show the talent they do have.
Jason, I don't know this for sure. How long from the time you were drafted out of Baylor until you actually were in Major League? Did you go pretty much straight to it, or did you have to spend a year or two in the minor league system?
Yeah, it was right at 2 years. So I got drafted in, I guess it was June of '99, and then went to, I made all the stops. I hit every single level. So it was a crazy, I guess it was about 18 months or so.
Well,
almost 2 years.
I bring that up because last night it was reported that baseball, for the first time ever, has a collective bargaining agreement now with the minor leagues, and everyone's salaries are going to almost double, and in some cases even 4 times as much as it was.
Well, and I think that's awesome because my first minor league check was $300. I had teammates that were rooming 5-6 guys in an apartment just to be able to afford to live, and I call it living. We had guys heating up hot dogs on the road in the hotel microwave to save their meal money. So it was a little ridiculous. I was fortunate. I was a little different situation, with the opportunity I was given coming out of Baylor. But some of the guys I loved and my great teammates and great friends were in. It was a tough situation, and it's no way to live. It's no way to try to have a family. I mean, it's almost impossible to have a family in the minor leagues. So I think it's great. The amount of money these big league guys are getting, we can transfer a little bit of that down to the minor league guys and take care of them a little bit better. That's
awesome, and get the perspective you got. You were obviously very highly thought of coming out of Baylor, but even if you had a little extra, but $300 is your first check, and even the way that I think the cost of living and perhaps even wherever they stay has changed just a little bit too, which is good because those stories to come out that were really almost like, what? That's it? Mm-hmm. And why would you not protect your future or at least take care of your future, right?
I agree. And that, these owners and these teams, they make their money off the big boys up top and with the TV deals and, the fans coming to these games. But that the minor leagues, that's kind of where, those stars, that's where they got to start. They're kind of born there and they progress up to the big stage. But like you said, you got to protect them. You got to take care of those guys because, while they don't make you as much money as the big boys do, they're just as important to your organization as a whole and to the future of your organization for sure.
If, in fact, on the road or when you were at home and you were a minor league player, what was your favorite go-to meal? Was it ramen noodles? Was it Spam? Double burger from McDonald's? Whoever?
If I could get a fresh loaf of bread and some PB&J and for a treat, maybe even slice up a banana and put it on it. That was like having a steak at Bob's. That was gourmet.
Well, I gotta admit something to you, and obviously I don't know when they came out, but the other day, this has been what, Paul, now like a couple months ago?
Yeah.
Playing with a guy from Chicago who's become a friend of mine. We play golf together. And he had these peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He goes, hey, I got a couple of PB&J. And I was like, that's great. I thought he made them. They were the Uncrustables. Have you ever had those before?
I have, and they're it's a shame that they can call themselves PB&J because that's just it. I don't even consider those things PB&Js. If you don't have a knife and you can't like clean off the knife after you spread it on the bread and it's not PB&J.
See,
it's not.
That's where baseball players are different. When you're a baseball player, you appreciate the process. Right? Because
oh my God,
you do. Look, I'm telling
Absolutely.
you, they're different. Like baseball players, they have to appreciate the process.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't, especially a pitcher. You've got to you're not going to strike everybody out. You're not going to you're going to have to work out of some jams.
You got to nibble around the plate to some of the guys.
No, I get this. I get this.
There's decisions got to be made. You cut the crust off? Do you cut it in a triangle? Do you cut it in squares? Like what?
I love it. Did you hear about Charles Barkley bringing up Uncrustables the other day during one of the in-between games a couple of weekends ago, saying it? What did he say, Paul?
He's like, Uncrustables is the best food ever. Love
it. Leave Charles. Yeah.
All right, Mitch Thompson. Everyone knew this is going to be a big-time rebuild. And not that Baylor was in bad shape, but when he took over, it was going to be done his way. He's going to get the talent. We know he can recruit. They've had some nice wins, but they also have been on the other side of getting bludgeoned a little bit. Have you stayed in touch with him? Have you talked to him? And even if you haven't, your thoughts about what he's trying to do this first year?
I have. I've sent him a couple texts here and there. I try to stay in my lane and let him do his thing. I know I firmly believe he's the right guy and he's got the right people in place. And, it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I think Mitch has kind of spoken to it in chapters. And this first chapter, it's going to have some pages you enjoy and pages you don't. And I think we've seen both of those so far this year. But, even the first game I watched the other night on TV against Okie State, just the energy, the effort, even though they lost that game, it was different. Mm-hmm. And it was a different feel, a different team that I felt like I was watching than I have the past couple of years. So that was encouraging for me. Okie State's a good team, so you don't expect to go to Stillwater and take a series from those guys. And they were right in that first game against the top 20 team. So they're knocking at the door. They'll get there. It's just, fans going to have to show a little bit of patience. And, my freshman year, we weren't even hardly even ranked. I don't think ever the whole year. We didn't even make a regional. So, it's a process, and he'll get it there. I promise.
Last thing, you made your major league debut in August of 2001. And of course, in that game, you shut out the Mets, hit a home run. Could it ever, was it like almost not too easy for you because you had to get to that point, but what was that like? What was that like to soak all that in?
It was obviously a dream come true, just getting to the top level and being able to, if nothing else, just say, hey, I played in the big leagues. And, at that point, I had no idea how long it was going to last. And I just wanted to, like you said, soak it all in. And it just, I wanted to throw out a good game, a quality start, 6 innings, couple runs, give my team a chance to win. And as the game progressed, we put up a big lead early, and I had some good stuff that night. And I realized shortly after the first batter of the game, actually, when Larry Walker hosed somebody at second, I was like, man, these guys are really, really good. So let me just throw some strikes. If they hit it, I got the best defense, on earth behind me. And that just helped me relax. And as we progressed along and we were winning, and I had my low enough pitch count to stay in the game the 9th inning, led off the 9th inning just thinking, hey, let me try to get another hit. This would be cool. And I just absolutely came unglued on the first pitch I saw and was able to make good enough contact. And
there it goes.
Yeah, there it goes. And the rest is history. And I set the bar way too high because the next start I was like, crap, if I give up a run, people are going to think I'm terrible. So I think while it was a great memory, I was like, man, it's not this easy. So I got to keep myself in check. And 2 starts later, Barry Bonds reminded me that it wasn't that easy.
As he did 770 or whatever it was.
Yeah, no doubt. I was one of his 73 that year.
Oh my
man,
Lord.
that
Okay.
was, yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Larry Walker though.
Yeah.
Larry Walker didn't get talked about, in my opinion, enough from that era of guys. He was everything, and he, like you said, gunning down a guy at second base, that was completely second nature to him. He was an excellent right fielder.
Absolutely. And the thing that I tell everybody, and nobody ever thinks this about Larry, he's 6'3", probably played at 235, 240. Best base runner I've ever played with. Just instincts, going first to third. It was just everything he did looked so easy. And having played the game, it's not that easy. But he could roll out of bed and hit 330. And if you put him on the mound, he'd probably low to mid 90s. But he's the type of guy that could take a bottle cap and say, hey, I'm going to throw it in this trash can 100 feet away, and he'd bounce it off the wall. And it's like the Larry Bird, Michael Jordan commercials back in the day. It was like off the scoreboard, off the trash can, nothing but net, and that's Larry. He just, everything he did was natural and just a pure athlete. He always claimed he was a hockey player, but I thought he was pretty good at baseball too.
Yeah, I could see him being a hockey guy as well. You still are running. You own Pastime Training Center, and that's in Frisco, correct? You want kind of give everybody a little bit of, I mean, if you want to get some kind of instruction, or you never know, with Jason Jennings, and PastimeTrainingCenter.com is the website, but give everyone an idea of what you're doing.
Yeah, it was just a way for me to stay in the game. We opened about 10 years ago, and I had a couple offers to go coach professionally back with the Rockies, and just, I was kind of done with that. I didn't want to get back on a bus and be away from my family anymore. So it was a good way to stay in the game and kind of give back to that next generation of kids coming up. And we're the home of the Dallas Tigers teams in this north region up here, so we kind of house them. And but not only the Tigers teams, but we train outside kids as well, and have cages to rent. We have hitting, pitching, catching, softball, baseball. So we got a little bit of everything. Got a little outdoor turf field that we use to do some camps and lessons and whatnot. So it's a fun little deal, and I'm still doing a few lessons here and there, mainly with kind of the high school, college type kids. But no, it's been great, and it keeps me engaged with the community here, and keeps me engaged with kind of the up and coming youth and high school players.
Jason, great stuff. We appreciate you very much. The history of your baseball career, college, and also Major League, what you're doing at Pastime Training Center, and just your insight and opinions on what's going on with baseball. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, guys. Anytime. Thanks so much.
Jason Jennings, to be able to